Join us for episode 3 where we drive to Portland, Oregon, and you're gonna wanna watch this one. It's the longest stretch we've made so far, and it was not easy. We took a 6,300-pound Mercedes-Benz all-electric SUV and then loaded it up with passengers and cargo, raising the curb weight to over 7,000 pounds, and decided, hey, why don't we drive this to Los Angeles, California? 3,000 kilometers. We are leaving Coeur d'Alene right now, heading to our final destination today, which is going to be Portland, Oregon. We're really pushing our comfort levels when it comes to range anxiety. Our first stop is going to be in Hermiston, Oregon. That is a space-age super fuel charging station. It's a high-speed DC charger. There's 309 miles on max charge right now from where we are. We started with 100% at the hotel, and we're at 98% right now. We have everything set up in an eco mode. A little bit of crosswinds today. We might be heading into a bit of a headwind that might affect the range even more, but it is saying we're going to arrive at the first charge stop with 24%. We'll see how accurate that is. Yesterday we actually noticed that EQ charge was over-reporting what we were going to arrive with by 4 or 5%. I'm assuming that factors such as the roof box and the added weight, also probably our speed had a bearing as well. For the record though, the one thing we'd like to leave off this one part here with before we continue on our drive, we have spent $10.75 so far to get to Coeur d'Alene. I'm assuming that when we charge at the high-speed network at the Space Age fuel station in Hermiston, it's probably going to cost us anywhere between $15 and $20 to recharge to 100% before we carry on to Portland. Let it be known that we're approximately around $25 to get from Calgary to Portland, Oregon. We're quite impressed with the range and the efficiency behind this. And you know, the most important thing that we're really impressed with, and we were all talking about it yesterday, was just how incredibly comfortable this vehicle is. So comfortable. One thing that I did turn on yesterday was the sound, which mimics the sound of the electric motors to sound some degree of like a faint gas motor. It kind of makes it a little bit more familiar. It really does work because, I mean, there's a lot of times I actually even forgot I was in an electric vehicle. It's pretty neat. Where it doesn't help you is that when you're accelerating hard to pass somebody or you're going really quickly, your wife will yell at you and say, stop going so fast. But when you make it silent, she has really no idea how fast you're going. So that's a really good, but you know, it really does help. So that you can be silent and maybe get away with a bit more, or you can make it a little bit louder and rambunctious if you want to feel good about yourself. Either which way, 204 miles left to go, and should be arriving according to the EQ with a 24% charge. We will report once we arrive there just how accurate that is. We are making a pit stop, and we're actually going to hit a Electrify America charging stop. Not because we're concerned with range anxiety, even though the windstorm and the rainstorm we just drove through did definitely impact ETA range on arrival, dropped it from 26% down to 19%. Definitely my bladder does not have the same range as EQS does. So we're gonna top up. I don't think we're gonna charge to 100%, but we're gonna go just enough for us just to have a bathroom pit stop, which is not going to have a major impact on our expected ETA. We're getting over right now to the charge station, EV charge station. I can see the sign right there. We're sitting at 61%. So let's top up a bit while we're here and have a little bit of a pit stop, use the bathrooms, and we'll be good to go. So we are at the Electrify America charging station, high-speed DC fast charging in Ritzville, Washington. We're on our journey right now, crossing 3 different states. We started in Idaho. We are crossing Washington State and then ending in Portland, Oregon today. We're at a ultra high fast DC charger right now, but as we get closer towards that 100%, we're starting to top out. So we're getting towards 76 kilowatts is all it's able to put in, even though it's able to go out at 350 kilowatts. We did get as high as 187 kilowatts, but of course now we're starting to slow down in that last 10% to fill it up. But there's only 16 minutes left of full charge. The family is still out getting sundaes, using the washroom, doing their thing. We did hit a bit of a snag because the charger was not working at first when we got there, but Electrify America reset the charger and now we're good to go. We had to stop in Ritzville, Washington to use the washroom. There happened to be an Electrify America hyper charger there that charges at 350 kilowatt. So we went ahead and said, you know, why not? Let's just use that charger while we're here and top up, because the range in terms of the ETA range was getting a little bit concerning after we went through a massive torrential downpour and crosswind storm that probably was having a lot of impact on the range of the vehicle. We were supposed to arrive in Hermiston, Oregon with 19% charge. We started out with 26, and it started to continually go down. We decided to stop there in Ritzville. Turned out the charger we were going to use was not working. I had to call Electrify America. They were really helpful. Within a matter of a few minutes, they reset the charger, but that did cause about nearly a 20-minute delay. The charger itself actually got us from 60% to 92% in only 17 minutes, which is incredible. The guy who pulled in next to me in his electric vehicle to charge used the charging port on the same station as mine, scanned his card, which canceled my charging. It ended me at 92%. Probably was for the best, because that last 8% was going to take 15 minutes anyway. It was completely unnecessary. Our expected percentage remaining when we arrive in Hermiston now is 50%. Even if that gets impacted by as much as 10%, we still are well within the range. That charge costs $17. That's equivalent to around 24 Canadian dollars. Let's just round up with the $10.75. We're currently right now sitting at $35 of charging cost by the time we get to Hermiston, Oregon. My wife's GLS would have taken us approximately, we would have probably paid at this point at least over $200 in fuel to get here, well over $200. Pretty incredible that 35 bucks and you're there by the time we get to that point. I estimate that including the charge that we do in Hermiston, we're going to arrive in Portland, Oregon at a cost of around $50. Looking forward to the rest of the drive. We're out of the rainstorm. Clear skies ahead. Kids have ice cream now, so they're pretty happy. On our way. Check in with you guys soon. So we just left our most expensive charging stop at Hermiston, Oregon, which cost us about nearly $40 to charge US. That equates to about $65 Canadian. So it definitely has had an impact on the economy. Now this is going to get us to Portland. So if you take that 65 plus what we've spent otherwise, we're still under $100 to Portland. A couple things changed on this last part. We hit some really bad weather, some extreme crosswinds that really did have an impact on the range. We had an estimated arrival range of 51% charge remaining, and we actually arrived with only 34. The crosswinds were atrocious. They threw the car left and right. As I found out from the other people that were at the EV charging network, we happened to be driving directly into a headwind, which just like you would experience with airplane, for example, or any gas car, when you drive into a headwind, you're going to really hurt your consumption. It's going to have to consume quite a bit more to keep it going. That and the high temperatures. I mean, it's quite warm outside right now. It's almost 35 degrees Celsius. All of these items have quite a bearing on the overall arrival. One thing I really did appreciate, and what I really appreciate at these charging places, is you feel like you're a part of a community. People ask you questions, they give you advice, they tell you what to expect. This EQS SUV has definitely garnered a lot of questions. We're not even aware of the fact that it was an electric SUV until they saw us plug in. Really fascinated by our story, and really happy to hear that we are actually performing this proven concept that we're doing right now. We do find though that the culture is a lot more welcoming and less curious as we travel further west. We also find that a lot of the charging infrastructure is far more plentiful as you go further west. One of the beautiful things you can really enjoy here is you could just hit this button right here, and at any given time, once you hit the charger on the screen, it tells you along your route all of the chargers that are available to you, which, I mean, it's massive. We've got a range right now of 281 miles, and only 87 miles we have 3 chargers, and 100 miles we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more chargers. In 150 miles, we end up picking up another, it looks like more than 10 chargers. There's definitely no issue, particularly when you're traveling in densely populated areas like this, to find the charging network that you're looking for. To some degree, it even gets a little bit competitive. I think because we were in a more remote location with a super high-speed DC charger, we didn't have a subscription set up with Electrify America, just an account. We were paying quite a bit. We could have been saving 12 cents per kilowatt hour if we would have had a subscription. Definitely being more mindful of when we're driving into a headwind as to how much that could impact your range. In this particular scenario, it hurt our range by about 30%, which is quite a bit. And I think a lot of it has to do with the added impact of the roof box. We'll check in with you guys again in Portland. We will be there at approximately 7:21 p.m., which is looking like 3.5 hours from now, and with an arrival charge estimated of 30%. Looks like we're going to be hitting about 39 minutes worth of traffic. A lot of this information is right there on the screen. Really easy to do route planning with this EQ Intelligence. That's an EQS SUV. We're currently driving past the Washington Gorge, and we are heading west towards Portland. We actually happen to be hitting a very, very, very heavy headwind. We are driving west into an eastbound high wind, which has definitely been causing the vehicle to shake all over the road. As we've seen semi-trailers with the trailers swinging left and right all over the road. It's a pretty crazy wind. Makes sense why we're seeing so many wind farms on this drive. What it's really done though, it's really affected our range dramatically. As a result, what we did is we hit this EV button up here. We searched along the route for the nearest charging stations. We selected one in Hood River. It's 26 miles away. We have 124 miles of range. So we're gonna top up there just to be extra safe, because at this point it's saying that when we arrive in Portland, we're gonna be arriving with only 11% charge remaining, and that number keeps changing. I'm getting a range here of a minimum of 86 miles of range and a maximum of 123. I'm leaning on the minimum of 86, which is actually 2 miles less than our destination. We're gonna be stopping at the charging station, which is also Electrify America, which is a pretty incredible network that's out here in the US. And it's a high-speed charger, DC fast charge. So we're gonna go ahead and charge up there. I don't think we're gonna definitely need to go to 100%. Yes, it was an unexpected turn of events, but these are things that you have to take into account. Now, in the defense of EVs, if we were in a gas vehicle with a roof box like this, our range on fuel would be significantly impacted. If you're in a different part of the world or North America that doesn't have the same infrastructure that Oregon does for EV chargers, I would say this would be more concerning. Definitely now that we're in Oregon and as we're making our way towards Portland, EV chargers seem to be popping up all over the place. We see them all the time on our display here. Mercedes-Benz EQ Intelligence is brilliant. It actually shows you them as you're driving along on your route. It displays, without you even asking for it, it displays the charging station, the kilowatts it puts out, how many of those chargers are available at any given time. Knowing that full well, we had the full confidence, but this has definitely had a massive impact on the range. I would suspect that the range has been diminished by nearly 40% today by the fact that we're driving into what I believe is about a 35 mile per hour wind that we're driving directly into. We're driving right here through the Washington Gorge, and it is hitting us full force. I've never seen the power output on the motors get beneath 15%. It actually is showing me the range of where it's been, and it actually is fluctuating at the bare minimum at a coasting speed of about 10%, and it's been going as high as 30%. And I was looking at the actual info, which you can pull up at any time here on the vehicle, and the info shows the energy flow, which is really clever because it's actually just only driving the rear wheels. So only one motor is running right now, but it's drawing off that same charge, of course. It's showing you the vehicle, the energy flow. But I was looking at this one here, and it actually shows you how much accelerator is going. And right now it's saying there's 70% accelerator, 69%. We're as high as 80%, just to be able to keep it going at a constant speed. We will check in with you in a little bit longer once we get to our next charge point. Because we won't be going to the 100% this time, we're going to be going to the 80%. It's going to be a really quick charge. We actually charged at 180 kilowatts when we first got to Hermiston, and then of course that slowed down to as little as 98 kilowatts once we got over 80%, and down to about 78 kilowatts from 90 to 100. So yeah, we'll check in with you then. We're at the Electrify America charge point in Hood River. It gets expensive when you start to actually charge at these high-speed DC chargers. Now, I'm only going to 100%, not because I'm looking to waste money, but it happens to be in the same parking lot as a Walmart, and now my kids are inside with my wife, and they're getting now toys and treats, and they've now capitalized on the opportunity. Milo and I are just sitting back here, hanging out in the car, waiting for it while it's air-conditioned. The headwinds here in Oregon really had a major impact on our range today. We really struggled to maintain the range that the vehicle was set up for. So yeah, this is where we're at right now. We charged 98%, really wasn't necessary with only 62 miles left of downtown Portland. Spending 2 nights at the Hotel Vance. It's got an overnight EV charger. We're going to the San Diego Zoo, taking a walk to Mercedes-Benz Portland, which is only a few blocks away from our hotel, and checking out all the other sites and everything there is to see in Portland, Oregon.
Join us tomorrow when we head to our next destination, which is technically our halfway point, Medford, Oregon. It's over 250 miles or 400 kilometers of distance, and it's going to be probably a little easier drive, at least we hope, than the last one. Please like, share, and subscribe. Click the bell below so you can turn on notifications and know when the next episode is released. We'd love to hear your feedback on what we've delivered so far, and would like to know if you have any questions about this road trip.